It's a fact you're not here. You ain't even real, but you still bring me fear. You make my bones so tired that my soul stands up. But now I'm starting to need to bleed to fill this cup. It's like I'm starting to need to bleed to fill this cup. Oh.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to The Working Wing, the podcast where every week we watch a few episodes of The West Wing and break them down from our own unique working leftist perspective. My name is Tim Schultz, and joining me, as always, my dear friend, longtime debate partner, and a man who, in his entire life, has never found anything charming, Killian Collins.
Good to be here, Tim. But there are some things I do find charming, probably more than
Oliver Platt in this.
Probably a lot more than the White House counsel. But that's why I'm not White House counsel. But it's good to be here, Tim. And we are here this week with a review of the final 3 episodes of the second season of The West Wing.
A kind of like serialized arc here in like late 90s television.
Yeah, very much big fans of that back in the day, because back then people were actually like watching when the episodes came out.
Right. Yeah. This was major sweeps cheddar for the networks.
Who cares about sweeps week? They care.
They do. Sam. Sam is such a fucking asshole at so many points during these episodes, and we will get into all of that. But we start actually with the great Oliver Platt and the great Allison Janney just like dueling here in the office.
Yeah, no, he is he is inquiring about the president's MS. He is doing he's doing what the prosecution would be doing. He is sniffing out weaknesses. And CJ's being a good soldier. She's not answering. She's the last to know, and after a lot of badgering, she ends up admitting under pressure that, I've lied about the president's health many times. I'm like, well, yes, that's your job. You're the press secretary. Your job is to lie for the White House. That's
literally, it's yeah.
It's not even a need to know basis. It's like you need to lie about this basis. So Donna then talks to Donna talks to the douches about the satellite. Oh yeah, Chinese satellite.
No, it's like I feel bad for Donna during this entire episode, because it just seems like the entire White House just decided to like, what, we're gonna team up and gaslight Donna. It's gaslight Donna day.
Well, first, excuse me. Well, first they take the entire fear of just like they promote the danger of like this satellite, which kind of makes me think of the whole Chinese balloon crisis, where it's just like there's as much like intrigue and danger over like where the fuck this thing's gonna fall, and really making her worry about it, even though Don's not gonna go clean it up or anything. It's just like
she imagines like a giant space station type thing crashing to Earth or something.
Yeah, the International Space Station like crashing into the Florida Panhandle and like killing all those nice those nice Tampa Bay residents. I mean, anyway, her whole White House staff gets her paranoid. Toby and Leo and Josh all talk straight strategy for the president. They're talking about making a poll, about disguising a poll like for a governor they can kind of start scouting out like how they can approach the Republic.
And Leo is kind of just like hemming and hawing and being like a petulant little child about this entire thing. And it kind of started me thinking of like, no, in any real administration, Leo would probably be fired at this point.
Yeah.
Like Leo would be the perfect scapegoat, honestly.
Yes.
Because he was the campaign head. And honestly, in a real administration, Leo would have left the administration already, because no chief of staff actually serves a full term with the president.
No.
So it would have been like, he left a year ago. So then you're just like, yes, our chief of staff, notorious drug addict, Leo McGarry, gave me some bad advice, and it's all his fault.
We now have a new drug addict. I mean, I'm sorry, an alcoholic working for us now.
Yeah.
And we'll make
He's
sure
doing
that
great, though.
we'll make sure these mistakes are not repeated. Then they mentioned like where Sam's head is like all wrapped up in some speech he's writing with his writers, Josh and Martin of the Justice Department. Oh, what were you saying, man?
That the Sam speech, that's the one that's like supposed to be. It's supposed to be a political speech, although Sam doesn't seem to know that, right? About tax cuts.
Oh yeah, it is about tax cuts. Yeah.
But Sam doesn't know that he's supposed to be a political operative here. We'll get to that later.
No, I have a lot to say about his position on that. Josh ends up talking to Martin of the Justice Department about the big tobacco lawsuits. Martin from the Justice Department saying, we are running out of money fighting these guys. These guys are extra lawyered up, and we are not being able to suck our tentacles into other departments and like suck it all out to actually take them on. They need money, and he brings out the phrase, they committed a fraud against the public. To which Josh has that beating in his heart and his mind.
He's like, oh no, we committed a fraud against the public. What if people don't like us anymore?
Like, well, you're the government, so I mean, like, you're kind of already starting at a loss already. So,
right, committing a fraud against the public is just your job.
That's government, baby. Oliver and CJ go over the press secretary's lines. He goes over physical details. CJ gets this irrelevant satellite news. Nothing else much happened there. I think Oliver was just grilling CJ over.
But a great scene. I love Oliver Platt and Allison. Like Oliver Platt is the MVP of this episode, especially.
Oh, really?
I think so. Right? Like all his stuff with Allison Janney, all his stuff with Abby Bartlett, with Stockier Channing.
I mean, I finally like how in this series of episodes, I finally saw Oliver say that you need to get a private lawyer. I heard him finally say.
He told the president that in their first meeting, and the president was like, "I don't want a lawyer. I want you."
He's like, "You don't want me, idiot, because you're not. This isn't privileged." It was stupid. Sam. Yeah, here he is. Sam's being a total lib in his speech writing.
Yeah, because like they find out that the budget projections are lower, revenue projections for the government are lower than they thought, and so suddenly we can't afford a tax cut.
Well, and it's funny because the reaction to this is so giddy. It's not, oh my god, we have less money. It's, oh my god, we have less money, so we get to like actually tell people we're spending less of their money. That's their approach. Not oh my god, like these many kids are going hungry. Not oh my god, we can't replace books.
Well, I mean, this is a neoliberal government administration. This is based off of Clinton, who literally said the era of big government is over.
Yeah.
They were happy to have less money because it meant that they could justify not helping anybody.
Yeah, justified to growth. They don't have to. The Progressive Caucus actually starts demanding that. Well, you're going to have a little line about tax cuts for working families, and which is like, okay, well, in that era, if you're trying to like have like that political gold of tax cut in there, and you of course want to like advertise that for working families, to which of course Sam is going like, no, you can't have that in there. That's too much. You need to take that. You need to take that out. You need to celebrate the richest paying their fair share. Blah, blah, blah. And
I'm paying my fair share and the fair share of the next 16 people in line.
Like, Sam, you're a writer. Like, you're a fucking writer, dude. Like, if you are getting paid that much, then like, god damn it, like, I'll go out there and I'll fucking union break those strikers out there. If you're fucking making as much, if they're making as much as you fucking are. Where you're paying.
We can jump ahead. We can jump ahead. I think later when he's talking to the Progressive Caucus.
Oh yeah, that's later.
Whatever form that existed in the 90s. He's like, I paid 30 times. I paid 16 times more than someone who's poor, but that doesn't mean my ambulances came faster or the fire department. Bullshit, Sam. Bullshit. I bet if you did a detailed breakdown about police and emergency response to your neighborhood versus a poor neighborhood, they did in fact come much faster to your neighborhood than to a poor neighborhood.
Or I mean,
that's just facts.
Or I'll just jump on the transportational part of that. It's like, okay, well, with all that money that you're making, like you're able to get to work 27 times faster than taking the bus or having to walk there, like Miss Susie Q over here is having to do. But neither here nor there. It's just none of that. Even when I talk about like this, he's like, oh, I don't go to the library. Why do I pay for the library?
Right. Yeah, I don't have a bus because we decided we didn't want to have busing in this neighborhood because we didn't want poor people to get here.
True, good American policy.
And it's just like this was the Democratic Party, and like that's what I keep trying to tell. Like people need to realize this is what the Democratic Party was. If you look at why there are so many pissed off poor white people now, it's because the Democratic Party decided in the 90s that they did not give a fuck about them.
Yep. Well, I mean, all these political parties, whenever they do appeal to poor people, it is just for show. It's a political move. It's there for show. The idea is to give them one thing that'll keep on paying dividends forever and ever and ever. Well, so they don't have to actually do anything. I mean, they've been doing that with the black vote ever since the civil rights movement, ever since they got rid of the Dixiecrats. So, and they're still trying to bank on that. They're still trying to think that well, we had Obama with the Dreamers, so it's Latino votes have to be ours, and they're not necessarily that at all because they're being abandoned in all these other economic factors and not being fought for.
Right. Great Society was fucking 60 years ago. Like Democrats, you need to do something more now for poor people.
Yeah, and even that wasn't and even that had flaws.
Great Society was an incomplete grade at best.
Very much,
for sure.
very much so. Yeah. Then we get Oliver and CJ discuss the president's episode that she describes it. And CJ tells him that she told the press it was the flu. On the need to note basis, Sam and Toby in the cafeteria.
Because Oliver draws a whole, do you need to know or should know, right?
Yeah.
And CJ says she doesn't recall what she says.
Yeah.
And then she talks about that with Abby later.
Yeah, she's like, what do I need to know? Sam and Toby in the cafeteria. CPO's projection is lower than thought. Toby literally offers nothing. Donna says hi to Charlie. Nothing came of that scene. Abby's in the White House talking to Bartlett, and she's pissed off that she is in the dark.
Yeah, because Bartlett, like a terrible husband, did not tell Abby that they were going to go big with this whole thing.
Yeah.
Apparently,
yeah, she's the last to know about this. And he lets her know that she's the one who signed the piece of
yeah. He neglected to tell her that she herself was implicated in the cover-up of this entire thing
because she signed his name.
Yeah, which I think it comes out more in her conversation with Oliver next week. But Abby could be in some serious amount of trouble with this whole thing. Her Mrs. Wilsoning around here might come back.
Yeah. Margaret did not forge the president's signature. She only talked about it. Leo does not want any more cash for the DOJ. Josh argues for it. I'm sure, Tim, your position on smoking cigarettes is
we'll get to that when we talk to the Democratic congressmen who are, or did we already pass? Yeah, the Democratic congressmen have a point. Since the 60s, it has been widely publicized both by the federal government and tobacco companies themselves that smoking cigarettes is dangerous and addictive.
Put a warning label on it. I think that's your position.
And it's had a warning label since the early 70s.
Yeah, it's not like it deters smokers, but because it's that wonderful addiction that keeps us coming back.
Is it the government's job to deter smokers? Is my question.
Well, depends on what type of society you're trying to have. Because in China, I think they really want to deter heroin use really bad.
Well, yes. But we haven't fought a series of crippling wars over the trade of cigarettes.
But stay tuned, folks.
Yes, stay tuned.
All we did is like enslave part of a continent to like help us grow it, along with many other cash crops. But
yes,
hey, that's the wonder and joy of history. That's like why we have all our friends and why we have the society we have today. It's because of like how fucked up the cash crop trade was and the triangular trade. Anyway, moving on.
Please don't make me confront the like ethics of how cigarettes are produced these days. I don't want to really think about that.
Well, you and Ho Chi Minh both, brother. So, Sam ends up talking with the Progressive Caucus, and yes, he has these like lame lines of he refuses the line, he doesn't change his mind, he says no economic fight whatsoever.
Right? No, he's like he doesn't want to do politics. He's like
Yeah.
he can be nice to rich people while still demanding tax cuts, and if we're nice to them, maybe they won't mind having to pay more money. And it's like, no, Sam, they're gonna fight you on having to pay more money at every single turn, always, forever. No matter how nice you are to them.
But then he just completely Stockholm syndromes himself and he's like, well, I pay this much. Like, I'm one of these people. And it's like, yeah, no, that's like also an argument I hear from a lot of people who like fancy themselves as like, oh, I'm making like $80,000 a year. That means like, I'm a rich capitalist. Where it's like, no. Like,
well, then you also get these people who are like, yeah, I make $250,000 a year, but I live in California, so it's not like. So really, I have the same economic interest as someone who's like lower middle class, and it's like, no, you clearly don't. Though.
No, like you're not worried.
If you have a stock portfolio, you are not in the same economic class as like you and me.
I mean, anyway, Sam ends up saying that this line's like written by a girl, like just tries to infantilize.
Yeah, and then he spends the rest of the thing trying to defend that slip of the tongue of his.
Yeah.
Being like, I've heard lots of good women write, but this sounded like a girl.
I've heard women like, I know women who blow down walls, and it's like
name some, Sam.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm waiting on those.
Who on your fucking writing staff, Sam, which you have hiring power for?
What was it? Was it one of those hookers that you completely screwed over and like?
Yes. Yes. How much did those women writers cost per night, Sam?
Is it some honeypot that like was like after information that you had? Like which women? Which of these women, Sam? Josh and Joey. Yep, we have Josh going to the airport to interact to meet Joey, and he tells her that this poll is obviously not about the beats or any of this. There's a specific thing that we want out of these polls, and she's like, okay, can I tell you in the car? And he's like, no, because you got to like go back home, and tells her about the president's MS as covertly as the show's allowing.
This is a very like pre 9/11 moment too.
Yes,
one of the last we'll get from the show where you can just have a meeting in an airplane terminal.
Yeah, where it's like hell no nowadays.
Yeah, exactly.
Signs it and says it's a dumb idea. But yeah, no, he basically reveals that that the poll that they gave out for the Michigan governor about lying about a disease was for the president, and I think Joey had this figured out already.
Right. Well, no, they want her to put that poll in the field.
Yeah,
she hasn't done it yet.
Oh, she hasn't done it yet. Oh, yeah, she's about to. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that means it was about that. Okay. Abby then talks to Oliver and he grills her about the college form. She claims the old excuse of I got a million papers. I didn't really read it. I just
right, but then under further pressing, she changes her story. Like she's like, it doesn't matter because MS isn't hereditary, so it has nothing to do with Zoe's family history. And he's like, well, is it because it's not relevant, or because you didn't know it was a medical history?
Were you withholding information? Were you knowing you were lying?
That's so good. That's so good. Like, all right, I know we don't like Sorkin, and we don't like Sorkin because of his politics, and in part because of his writing. But a lot of the times, his writing was hitting in these episodes.
Oh, this writing's not bad. Like, it's not bad. But I've seen some other stuff. Granted, this is dated. I'll give it that.
This is dated.
It's like 25 years old at this point.
Because then he goes on to like he's like, yeah, they're gonna ask the president these questions too. And then at a certain point, he's going to get flustered and give that answer that everyone wants to hear from a president who just announced the SMS. I don't remember.
My brain doesn't work. It doesn't work, asshole. Yeah. He coaches her on going public and lets her know. Yeah, he's basically all these scenes with Oliver are kind of just like crash courses for if you're having to talk to your lawyer and things that your lawyer might be talking to you about. Joey, we go back to Joey and Josh in the airport. He asks her for the pull. Joey says that she's absolutely down for it, and he stuffs that napkin. And after the little covert talking about things, and Joey's writing answers down on the napkin, he stuffs the napkin in some water to show that that'll get those Republicans know what I'm doing.
That's so wild too. It's like, who do I think is really tracking Josh Lyman this heavily?
Yeah, and like some waiter, some poor busboy is just like, what the fuck are these people doing? Like, I hate Washington. Like, Donna's still worried about getting gaslighted about the satellite. Abby goes into CJ's office and she wanted to face the White House counsel with her. She should know.
Because CJ reveals at this point that at one point during the campaign, she had walked into the Bartlett's hotel room and she saw Abby injecting something into the president.
He's just partying. Guys. Okay, just let him relax.
That's just a little steroids for his big race the next day.
Well, nowadays it's like, I know Tim knows my little theory, but it's like, I swear to God, for like every presidential debate, like they're injecting Trump and Biden with some sort of cocktail that like made Aaron Rodgers like work through a broken leg. So
whatever they gave Patrick Mahomes during the Super Bowl.
Yes, certainly. I think it's all the same shit, man. It's all the same shit. Yep. Leo, John, and Josh come in late. Joey is she comes back down. Polls are unfavorable.
There's not a single result in there.
Yeah,
that they're gonna like. It's bad. It's like
it's just like like the public thinks that you frauded them.
60% of people who call themselves very liberal won't vote for you because you're a liar.
Yes, because you're a liar. So and the rest of it, which won't vote for you just because you're sick.
Yeah. People think MS is fatal, which is kind of up in the air as to whether it is actually fatal.
Yeah. They fraud the public. Yeah, we're not big tobacco. Leo and the president meet.
Leo tells Josh we're not big tobacco.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you can draw a metaphor between like neoliberal economics and big tobacco, right?
I think
they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing that whole time.
I hate to give any of the ANCAPs or even your anarchists like a little bit of credit, but it's like, government's capable of doing very terrible things. Very
it's like I always think of like the free traders of the 1990s, and it's like, did you really think that like 1 million industrial jobs were going to be replaced by like programming jobs? At the same time, you were also making treaties to like send programming jobs to India. Like, did you really imagine that this was actually going to like work out well for people at the same time that you were like trumpeting that it was going to work out fine?
Yeah. I mean, that's the problem is, with overproduction and gluts of market and technology, technology changing and innovating things, that it creates these gluts of capitalism that they don't really think about because they're always on top of it.
Right. And capitalism overreaches the bounds of borders. And like extranational capitalism is a destructive force for the countries from which they originate.
Very much so. Or where are we at? Yeah, Sam tells he especially told Abby, he tells the president about the poll and how bad the results are. Leo does. Sam tells Toby that he offended the progressives, and Toby trusts him. He trusts them. He's like, go fuck them up. Right.
Who needs the progressives anyways?
We're all they got. CJ laughs and has a buffalo now. Oh yeah. I think this is when Josh is talking to her outside, and he's telling her about like how bad the polls are. And she laughs and has like a buffalo analogy about like a buffalo running off the cliff. And
Right. Yeah, because Sam says, or Josh says, Leo and the president are worried that if people find out about this poll we did, they're going to be mad because it looks like he only told them because of a poll. And CJ laughs and says, they're going to be mad because you fucking lied for almost a decade.
Yeah.
The fall is what's going to kill you.
Yes. She said, yeah, you're the buffalo worrying about the hunter behind you, more about the cliff you're falling down.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. And of course, it's like that nice little fun. Aaron Sorkin with his nice little titles of it's not the fall. It's the fall that's going to kill you, which is, the double entendre for next fall is going to kill you. Which it won't, because, we're only in the second season of The West Wing. So we got 4 more seasons to go. And I don't think they're going to get rid of Bartlett quite yet. All right, then we move on to episode 21, 18th and Potomac. Very historical name. President and Leo are meeting in the basement. They're having a nice, good old-fashioned John F. Kennedy basement meeting. Sam and Toby show up. There's with the password Sagittarius along with Josh.
Yeah, this is where they find out that that everyone hates the president, right? Yeah.
Yes. Joey sends the polling data. The numbers are fucking terrible. Like 83% believe, 83% of them hate the president for lying about his health. 74% of people believe MS be fatal. Leo is then in the military, then in the Oval Office. They're having trouble with another Haiti coup. Oh, what else is new?
Right, exactly. It's like the way they phrase this, and it's like really a few years ago it wouldn't have twigged me at all, but like my perspective has shifted, and it's just like no, they tried to institute. We encouraged him to run, Mr. President. We strongly encouraged him to run, and it's like. No, that's
you bought the election for him, Mike.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like we know how this works.
There were free and fair elections. We made sure the elections were free and fair.
And just like in Venezuela, if the guy that we were promoting doesn't win, we're gonna say that shit was fake.
Exactly.
But America wants to get their boy in. They're gonna have all the non-essentials evacuated from the American embassy in Haiti. Staff in the bunker basement discuss the announcement. They talk about the tone, location, timing, how they're gonna try and polish up this turd.
Sam's a petulant little bitch about things.
Yes,
throughout this entire episode.
Well, yeah, it seems like these 3 episodes he doesn't want to do his job. No, at all. It's like I don't want to.
Sam, why are you still working here, Sam?
Right, like why don't you just like get a book deal with somebody? Why don't you just like work for the competition or something? Because that sounds like where you belong. Like hot shot and pro. I mean, actually, he's a good Democrat. He's he's a sleazy person. He can fit for either party, really. CJ suggests that we're gonna have to she wants to have a press conference after the announcement because she wants to be able to mop up and control the narrative. Mrs. L and Charlie talk cars, and Mrs. L is apparently getting a new car, and Charlie's giving her shit for going to the dealership alone. Oh yeah, very dated sexist rant because.
Right. Well, I think Sorkin is even 25 years ago was poking fun at the sexism around women can't buy cars because he's trying to tell you need a tow package, you need a. You need a speaker system. You need this and that. And
I think that stereotype. I mean, I think this the whole the term of mansplaining coming around has explained this a lot more. But I think the whole problem, the whole reason that stereotype isn't really that women aren't confident. It's just that men like to insert themselves all the fucking time with a little things that they know. And with getting a car, it's like I'm like 80 fucking dudes will jump in being like, did you get this? Did you get that? Did you get that? Did you get that? So I think that's where that stereotype comes from. But
it's true. I don't know about cars, and I've had conversations where a whole bunch of dudes know about cars. They just love to jump in and be like, "Did you get this? Did you get this? Oh, they fucked you over there." It's like, okay, well, I'm just trying to get to work and back.
Oh, it's very.
That's really my only concern. Like,
I'm sure you and I both have gone into the conversation where they start like talking about like all these models and like using these acronyms for them, and it's just inside baseball to you and I.
Yeah,
where we're just
yeah.
like,
I don't know what type of fucking engine is in my car. All right, it's an engine. It moves my car.
see the engine. I know that much about, but when they're just like, oh, you got EV model, I'm just like, what does that mean? Like, I got very lost. Then we have Leo and Josh talking about the big tobacco case. Is the info for the president needs to work? It needs to work. Yeah, just that big tobacco. We'll get back to the big tobacco case. Two of the bodyguards, two of the Haitian bodyguards have been shot. Yeah, we saw to a free election. LOL. Yes, have that in my notes. We saw to it. We already brought that up. The staff discuss. Yes, the staff discuss whether or not to bring Hoynes into the picture and like have his image out around during the announcement. Which if I was on that staff, I would say fuck yes, you do.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
You're gonna need a replacement because like basically like what you need is a transition.
Right, but again, the problem with this show is that what they are in is not a political administration. What they are in is a cult of personality surrounding Josiah Bartlett.
Right. So like they're much more dealing with like a death of Stalin situation more than just making the political machine move along.
Correct.
Sam says that he's letting him go as far. Sam says he's going to let him go in front of a grand jury. Toby asks if the president is even capable of running. Not so great to hear that from your inner staff. Josh talks the tobacco case with some Democrats who I guess are defending the tobacco industry.
Yeah. It was those two guys who were like, they've had warning labels on their shit for fucking 30 years now. How can we say that they've been perpetrating a fraud? Which it's interesting. This is an interesting storyline because the government did sue Big Tobacco and they did win actually.
Yeah. And
they got a huge settlement, which was pretty much all like embezzled and misappropriated, and never went to like the things it was supposed to go to.
No, of course, as it always happens. But wasn't that case mostly about like how they were advertising to children?
Yeah, it was
because I think that was
fine with that. Yeah, don't have like cigarette billboards near schools. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, don't have candy cigarettes. Don't
have. Yeah, I mean, candy cigarettes were always the most balling candy when you were a kid, though. Right? Like, is it just me? Have I just always had my Oreo fixation?
Well, I think that might be a youth thing. I think that's why you're smoking right now during the podcast. But it's like, I don't know. I never liked candy cigarettes. Like, it tasted like chalk. It was just the fact so you could hold them and just be like, "What's up, bro?" Like,
yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, they said. Josh says he must win, but they have no ammo. Toby talks to Donna about the president. Yes, about the president's MS situation, kind of in like the worst way too, like the most like awkward way, and like tells her it's like you have to act normal after I tell you this. Like it's very kind of creepy the way this scene goes about it. But it's
he's like, you're gonna be shocked. There's no time to be shocked. All right, you need to just keep your head down and keep doing your job. It's very dystopian.
Very, very. Very, very robotic. Charlie then lectures Mrs. L on the dealership, and Mrs. L is like actually holding her own and saying like, "Well, I'm fine. I paid like I'm not trying to like get like a better I'm not trying to get under sticker price." And Charlie's going, "You paid sticker price? Oh my god!" But she's like citing some law saying that, well, I'm not allowed to take any gifts that are over $20. So
right. Bartlett later comes in and points out that there's a later provision in that same law and that same statute saying that any discount available to the general public is not a gift.
Yeah, available to the general public, and like good, and good for him for pointing that out because Mrs. Lanningham deserves that money. But Mrs. Lanningham, good for you for holding accountability of people's money. Like
Caesar's wife must be beyond approach.
Yes, beyond reproach. Personnel they can't discuss. Leo and the Department of Defense secretary is in the room. She's this warmongering bitch also wants to send Marines to the embassy.
Well, they have Marines at the embassy anyways. They want to let their discussion is whether to let the U.S. winner of the election, their guy in Haiti, into the embassy.
Yeah, because right now there's no other side countries that would actually take on those Marines, with unlike Mali or Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
CJ is with the press talking about the Haiti situation. She's mopping all that stuff up. CJ's with I think of an owner. He's like news mogul.
Yeah, it's like the general manager of a news network.
Yeah, of like a guy who wants to make a CNN like thing.
No, later the CNN thing is later, but
that's later.
Yeah, this guy is like the president of NBC or whatever.
Yes,
and she's like, we need time. Your guy right here, you can't use your logo because it's going to be rebroadcast on every other network.
Yep.
And he's like, CJ, what the fuck are you guys planning for Haiti? Are we annexing Haiti? But no.
She's like, oh no, maybe later. Josh talks tobacco with senators. Tobacco company pointed out the tobacco companies lie. Yeah, they lie all the time. That they have certain generals warning, and that they really are going like, well, Josh is politically motivated because like obviously you fund their opponents, but it's like, well, idiots, like Big Tobacco funds both of them. They fund whoever's in power. Because they need to get close to them there. It's just the Democrats.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, these corporations just fund everybody.
And these politicians will also just take them on when they see that you're an easy political target.
Right.
Because
this year, railroads have been a big conversation.
Good.
With like the East Palestine thing. And it's like, yes, they gave $150 million to like Republicans last election cycle. They gave $100 million to the Democrats. So it's like, are the Democrats...
It'd be a lot better if... Oh, go ahead.
It's just like the Democrats aren't not beholden to the railroads just because they got $50 million less in campaign contributions from the railroad industry.
But it'd be really cool if that industry just kept that $200 million and like used it to pay their workers. Instead of bribing political parties.
Update the brake systems on their trains. Yeah, that would be swell, Killian.
Yeah,
that would be swell.
Instead of like this chaotic like use of our capital and capitalism, where it's like, hey, well, we just pay people just to advertise products. Like these people don't have a purpose for society; they just advertise products and try to manipulate.
I mean, back at the dawn of the railroad industry, you would have like Stephen Gould literally just with a sack of cash going around the New York State House handing out stacks of money to state legislatures. It's like things really have not changed all that much since then.
Well, it's all digital now. That's the difference.
Exactly.
It's with they have Dogecoin. Working.
They have Dogecoin. We'll throw you a party and raise contributions for you instead of giving you a stack of cash directly.
Right, and you can start your own NFT and like make up your own value for it.
I can't wait for Dark Brandon coins to come out.
Oh Jesus Christ! I think those will die off pretty quick. They'll be like Confederate dollars. Sam and Abby. Yeah, we have Sam and Abby in the basement. He discusses her scripts. Has her try to elaborate, and he wants to compare her story and make sure it's consistent with the president. Make sure that they're telling.
Sam is like extra aggro here too, in a way that like
Yeah, he's
just pouty, bitchy Sam. Like, probably the worst. Well, no, the worst Sam is trying to be charming with a woman, and then the second worst is like pouty little bitch Sam.
Yeah. I said that the best Sam is like the one where he's like just attacking like moderate progressives online.
I liked it when he yelled at that Christian lady about that bombing at the movie theater. That was cool.
Leo and the president talk about killing the 3 Haitian guards. The president's fucking pissed off about it. Bartlett is.
He's like, what the fuck were they still doing? I ordered them all gone so that this wouldn't fucking happen. Like. Yeah.
Leo defends their position.
He doesn't know the word Benghazi, but this is kind of a Benghazi.
Yeah. 10 years later. The The president then gives Mrs. Lanningham crap about her car, asks her about the sticker price, and they have that conversation about excluding discounts that are available to the public.
And we find out that she's literally never had a new car before.
Yeah, that she's been driving the same old jalopy for.
Well, yeah, or she's like, whenever we need a new car, her husband would just go get something used and reliable from the local guy. And
well, this is also the '90s, where it's like, you know, if you getting a new car, that's a moving on up type of thing. But then he tells her, he's like, "Oh no, Mrs. Lanningham, would you mind coming back to the White House for me after you go home? I just want to take a look at your car." If you could.
Well, he's also got to tell her something. This is when he was going to tell her that he has MS and lied about it.
Yeah.
Which, given what we see in the next episode of how long they've known each other and how close they are, it's wild that he never told her before that.
That is wild. You took it right out of my mouth.
That he never told her before then.
Right. No, exactamundo. Because the things that they were talking about that were so, because the things they were talking about were also so inappropriate. But like, I'll get to that one.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Oliver then shows up in the basement with the rest of the staff, and he discusses. He shows up in the basement to talk to Abby, and he discusses her getting her own lawyer. Finally, with some good advice.
Finally, you can't do this press conference. You are going to incriminate yourself if you try to do this press conference.
Yes, you are not smarter than the federal police. You are not smarter.
And you realize that. Yeah, and he lays out, like, just off the top of his head, many violations that she's committed of medical practices in multiple states.
Yeah, and wait till someone who's your enemy picks you apart.
Yeah, exactly.
And she wrote it describes because she wrote the prescriptions herself.
Yeah, and had them filled under false pretenses at various clinics around the country.
Yeah, and she says, like, well, those were extraordinary circumstances, and she's avoiding the crucial questions. So he's basically illustrating to her, it's like, the public's going to think that you're a lying crookedy crook if you come up there, because you are a lying crookedy crook.
Yes, indeed.
Donna and Josh come up. Donna and Josh are together. Josh is zoning out. She knows, and she set up something for him.
A bed.
Yeah, she set up a bed for him in the other room.
A little sleeping area in one of the side rooms of their conspiracy compound in the basement.
Toby's then in Leo's office. He discusses the president's future, whether the president's even going to have a future. Toby and Josh talk about how Donna knows and how tobacco is not on all party lines. Dems on a judiciary commission.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah, everyone's surprised that the blockade against the tobacco suits is not along party lines.
Yeah. Announcement. Yeah, the announcement's coming Wednesday night. The next night for them. Sam charges in. The president is asked if the president is running or not. Leo tells Josh to blow it up. Leo tells Josh to blow it up for the Dems. Oh yeah,
he wants to put the two Dems blocking the appropriations on Uber Blast.
Yeah,
light them up. Because Josh is like, these guys are on the Judiciary Committee, and do we really want to make enemies on the Judiciary? And then Leo gets up his own ass on a moral stand of like, we are not going to compromise a single policy initiative of this administration.
So I'm like, really? Is that the position you want to? Yeah, you want to take that position?
I mean, it's wild that any of you are still here, anyways. You are all tainted by a poison pill. Like,
it really kind of makes me think about like what people who have been staffers in the White House have been like. Oh, I'm gonna have this total West Wing moment and say this, and then they lost their job that day.
I'm sure it happens all the time. Well, like the turnover in the West Wing is so enormous, and that's the thing that the show never addresses. Like CJ is up there being like, I will be a subpoenaed, probably everyone else in the senior staff will be a subpoenaed. And it's like, in a normal administration, like none of the people who were like subpoenaed on January 6th were like those are the people who were working January 6th. None of those, like Reince Priebus, Trump's first chief of staff, he was never subpoenaed because he got out after like 6 months. Like,
yeah, pretty much. But right after that though, we get Charlie gets a call And it's this very somber call, and he reveals the news that Mrs. L has been hit by a drunk driver on 18th of Potomac, and unfortunately had passed away. Leo, of course,
gutting moment.
Leo, of course, is like petrified and shocked, and loses his like deterministic attitude of whenever he charges into a room ready with news, and he slowly makes this slow march into the president's Oval Office and tells him behind the glass the terrible news that your practically your older sister has perished away before you could tell her how you really want what you really wanted to tell her.
And I guess the behind the scenes story of this is that the actress who plays Mrs. Lanningham was actually cast in a sitcom. Or at least it was making a pilot for a sitcom, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, this will get picked up." So they were planning on her leaving the show, and Aaron Sorkin wrote her off.
Wrote her off into death. Well, I hate it when it's like they write her off into death, where it's like they can't bring her back in case the sitcom doesn't work out.
Which I don't think it did, and she was available like several months later.
Which sucks because it's like, well, she was one of the nicer characters I like, and it was sad because this whole next episode goes into like all these conversations that they could have had with Mrs. L. Just in the past. But the finale of this episode is the two cathedrals, which I heard this title and I thought, I think I've watched a scene with Tim from this before. I think you've shown me.
Oh yes, I have. I have shown you because I love. We'll get to it, but yes.
Yeah, we will. Leo talks to the Dems about the campaign. They do not want these Democrats and the party do not want Bartlett to run. Leo's defending him. They're having a press conference tonight. Toby is setting up the press, lights, camera. Sam needs time to prep the press, and Toby has a meeting during the funeral that is getting that was going to get postponed, but.
Yeah, he keeps trying to cancel this meeting with this Ted guy, but Leo keeps putting it back on his schedule.
Yeah. CJ and Josh talk the Department of Justice and the tobacco case. Yep, he gives CJ his light him up speech. No one's seen the president yet. The Dem strategists talk Hoynes, the vice president, with Sam. Sam fucking walks out. Sam walks out. Another pissy moment where he doesn't want to
negotiate. Yeah, and it's like these are people just doing their job and making very sensible points that, like, yeah, this is going to generate a primary. Even if the president says he's going to run, there's going to be a primary. So we need to talk about who all the candidates are.
Right.
Sam is like, he's not a candidate. He's the president. And then he storms off in a huff.
He's like, well, idiot, but the president has to run again. Otherwise, he's not a president. It's called a fucking dictator. So it's like, but I know where you stand on that type of shit, Sam. But most of these libs, left the center, 10 degrees left the center in the best of times. But
I have seen many takes in neoliberal circles being like, there shouldn't even be a primary when there's an incumbent president.
Oh yeah, it's 10 degrees.
They are really mad about RFK.
Yeah, liberals. Right. Liberals are 10 degrees to the left center in the best of times, but 10 degrees to the right center when it affects them personally.
Exactly. Mostly emotionally. People, that's the thing about these like centrists is that like by and large, nothing affects them personally because they have well-paying jobs.
Well, they don't know what a real sacrifice is. Like,
right.
I feel like you and I already don't know what a real sacrifice is. But like these people, it's like, like having inconveniences to us is like, to them, that's a sacrifice.
Yeah.
Anyway, after Sam walks out and is being all pissy, the president and Leo are in the situation room about Haiti. President is only partially there. He is flashing back to when he was in private school, and Lawrence O'Donnell was his father, headmaster of this Catholic private school, and he is introduced to a young Mrs. Lanningham as Dolores, which he tries to get away calling her Dolores right away, and she corrects him. We go back to the situation room, and he sends Fitzwallace down to Haiti to try and clean up the situation and try to restore their own free election candidate. President and Charlie talk about nonsense. What were they talking about? They're talking about like something the president was like loving on.
Wait, what was that?
The president and Charlie were talking about something. I just wrote down they talk nonsense, but I can't remember what the one nonsense they were talking about.
Yeah, I don't remember. I have fuck off, Sam. I have good casting on young Bartlett.
Yep.
I have
Great casting on young Bartlett.
Yeah, really looked like a young, because he looked like a young Emilio Estevez, who of course is Martin Sheen's son.
Yeah.
Do
you have anything until the CJ is with the press on Haiti?
I have peacekeeping question mark. Is that CJ with the press?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, she was like something about like some peacekeeping mission.
Yeah, the Marines are there for peacekeeping. They're there to stop the Civil War from breaking out overnight.
Don't worry, guys. We're here to spread democracy. That's they didn't figure out democracy the right way. We're there to show them with our Marines. Our Marines, they really understand democracy. They're really read on political theory. Anyway, the president's in his office, still going back to old times. Back in the flashback.
It's not, because Leo says it's going to be a non-denominational service, and then we flash back to Bartlett talking to Mrs. Landingham about how the service at this school is not non-denominational. And he keeps on saying that Catholics don't pray the Our Father. Is that like a pre-Vatican II thing? Because when I was growing up, we prayed the Our Father at every single mass I attended.
It might have been a pre-Vatican II thing. I'm assuming because like it's like when he's young and it's like, yeah, maybe this is like like 50s or 60s, some type of thing. But yeah, no, he was like he was definitely that type of kid who's like arguing like that, like, oh yeah, the service isn't non-denominational. It's that, but mostly it kind of expresses that like Bartlett's this type of kid who just always is asking questions. Never taking the status quo as an answer, like which makes him a horrible neoliberal candidate.
Yeah, well, I'm reading this article in real time about weird. Okay.
About weird stuff.
No, yeah. Let us not fall into temptation. He changed the world.
Oh boy, here, folks, we got Tim looking up theological arguments. We never have that too often here at the Working
Well,
Wing.
no, I was just confused about that because I said that fucking prayer a million times as a kid.
I mean, I also do kind of chalk it up to like this. His dad's private school was just something where it's like,
oh, fuck you, Bellevue News Democrat. I'm trying to
trying to find out some information. God damn it! Trying to find out like whether or not like Sorkin was doing his research on when the Vatican II was. Well, anyway, the whole point of it.
Okay. So Catholics end the prayer, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Whereas most Protestants say, they add on, for yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever.
Oh, I think I have heard that before. Okay, well.
But they say the Our Father. I don't know why. I don't know why young Bartlett keeps on saying that Catholics don't pray the Our Father. They absolutely do.
Yeah, they totally do. We had to do it. Anyway, but then we cut to the whole point.
Totally irrelevant.
The whole point of that scene is that Mrs. L like will always argue with Mr. Bartlett. She'll always soundboard off of Bartlett, and she'll kind of be at that big sister who's like willing to like challenge him.
Yeah, poke at him and make him defend his ideas and stuff.
Right. To try to find the chips in the armor. We could then go to the motorcade at the funeral. Abby talks to. Abby talked.
We hear more about the lady who was driving the car.
Yeah, young lady.
And man, I mean, you and I went through a personal situation, kind of similar. Back in our day, but it fucking sucks.
It does. It's sad as shit. Then we get to see we cut to the cathedral interior. The service starts with the White House staff pouring in. But during the service, Bartlett is just constantly flashing back to old times, with Mrs. L educating him on gender wage gaps. She's keeping at it. She's saying, "Show me the numbers. show me what you're talking about." She's like constantly hounding him about evidence. What do you have to back up your claim? What do you have against my argument right here? Can you stay witty with this? That we have Charlie even got up in front of the altar and spoke from the gospel for her service. Mrs. Landingham, she gives. I think we cut to the pastor. Mrs. Landingham is giving Bartlett crap about his car.
Yes,
And,
you can't start. You don't know how to fix your damn car.
Yeah. So like she was like showing him how to do these things, but she comes back. She says, "I've got numbers. I've got numbers for you. I got numbers for you right now." She comes back with facts and statistics. Always willing to argue with him back. Then we have the White House staff. The West Wing staff ended up being Mrs. Ellen Lanningham's pallbearers as they carry her out. We go back to the wage gap, and she's acting like a big sister. She knows his mannerisms. She points out that he knew.
Well, all right, this is a thing where it's like, I really love the writing, and especially this episode. I think this might be one of the best pieces of writing Aaron Sorkin has ever done. I really think it's a strong piece of television writing, but there is still that Sorkin thing of like being a little bit too fucking clever, or like, look, I'm just going to invent this new tick of President Bartlett's just to set up a moment at the end of this episode.
Yeah, something that I haven't quite noticed him doing before. I should look back and see.
No, it's because he doesn't do it before.
Right.
It's a thing that Sorkin made up for this fucking episode.
Yeah, I mean, but by the way the writing is, it makes sense like that. But what we're talking about, the tick we're talking about, is Mrs. Landingham says that, no, you've already made up your mind because like you put your hands in your pockets and then you look straight ahead. I
guarantee you, if you go back and look, you're not going to find another instance before this episode of him doing that. No, because it from an acting standpoint, it's an unnatural like sequence of things to do as an actor. And the way Sorkin wrote this show, based on everything I've heard from people who worked on it, was he wrote every single episode on the fly. And, it was always just a constant rush to have pages to shoot that day. He would take like things he had planned for later in the season and just cram them all into an episode so he had something to shoot. Like it was a very much on the fly writing process.
And that's why I have characters like Ainsley, who I'm sure
exactly, who was like, set up to be really important, and like there's a whole legal drama around the president, and maybe you'd think that like this White House lawyer who was introduced early in the season would have some part to play, but she does not. Not at
all. Service is over, and Leo says to the president, it was a beautiful service, going back. The president asked
it was it was a beautiful service, I thought. It was a beautiful service.
Yeah.
And then Mark was just like, fuck off, I need to yell at God. And one of my all-time favorite television speeches.
Which I should point out too, I was like doing my little rewatch, and I noticed that Lawrence O'Donnell even lectured young Jeb on, well, yeah, you shouldn't be, but it doesn't mean that, it's for cigarettes. The cathedral's not for cigarette smoking after hours and this and that. So
you shouldn't.
This is not his first time.
No, Bartlett has a habit of smoking in churches. Again, this is the Bartlett I love. Like, fuck his neoliberal economics and centrist bullshit and American imperialism, but smoking in churches and yelling at God, I can get down with all of that.
Well, it's funny to me too, especially with you, Tim, as like a very avid atheist yourself. And it's just like, well, he's not rejecting the existence of God. He believes in God and he's mad at God. But just like,
I mean, that's where my atheism started, right? Like, I think a lot of atheists start from a place of believing but resenting. Exactly. Yeah. Like, I grew up in this shit and I was very unhappy with my life, and especially in private school. So I took a lot of that out on God.
Or the concept of it.
Exactly.
Right. At the idea that many of these people have about it. But yes, that's essentially what the speech is. He says, you know, if you have not seen, there's famous clips of it on YouTube.
Yeah, find a clip. It's a great scene.
Yeah. He says a whole lot of things in Latin that I'm sure.
According to IMDb, the translation is, "Thank you, Lord. Am I to believe these things are from a righteous God, a just God, a wise God? To hell with your punishments. I was your servant, your messenger on the earth. I did my duty."
Yeah, very much like a Book of Job speech.
Yes,
if Job was resentful.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, he lists off his achievements in Latin. Yeah, he lists off his achievements and things that he's done, which were neoliberal accomplishments.
Right, it's the same. It's the same shit that you'll find in like here's what Biden has accomplished as president list nowadays.
But it's also funny because I can also imagine like the GOP alternative for this show, like the George Bush alternative, where he's like in some mega church and he's going like, I got all that. He's like, I made Halberd so much money, man. Like, you don't think I did that? I don't deserve that, man. I was your servant, Lord.
I was your servant, Lord.
Anyway.
You wanted I'm sorry, I couldn't get a constitutional abortion ban amendment. Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
The votes weren't there, God.
To which other Catholics are going like, wow, that's why God's punishing you, because you didn't advocate for the abortions. Yeah, but anyway, he does. I know he does the one smoker sin of just like having like a quick drag of like one.
That's what everyone who smokes cigarettes on TV these days does. Because you're not really allowed to show people smoking like that.
A whole cigarette. Anymore. They're just like, but yeah, this is even before all that too. This is back when you could smoke in bars.
Yeah.
I have something about Hoynes in here. You gets Hoynes. Oh
yeah. His last line is, "You get Hoynes." It's him saying, "I'm done. I'm done with you, God, and I'm done with America."
You get Hoynes, God. Oh Jesus Christ! That almost kind of sounds like that loser speech. Who was he? Lost his he lost his governor race to Tony Evers and that big fucking loser.
Oh no! We covered the Supreme Court guy.
Yes,
that Supreme Court race.
Dan Kelly. Dan Kelly. That's his
Dan
name.
Kelly. Yes.
Yeah. The big loser of just like, well, you get them, and that's all you get.
On a side note, in a news update, have you been following what's been happening with the Wisconsin Supreme Court?
No, what's happening?
They actually took Janet got sworn in this past week, and they immediately took drastic actions to completely overhaul the court. Because the Chief Justice is conservative, so the liberal majority got together and amended the rules of the Supreme Court to they basically pulled a Republican, they pulled the same shit the Republicans pulled on Tony Evers, where they were the Chief Justice no longer gets to solely decide, what cases get brought or how fast things move or or the appropriations for lower courts or anything like that. They turned it into a 3-person council of 2 liberals and the Chief Justice.
Well, there you go, folks. That's that. If you vote in the Wisconsin Supreme Court election, that's a vote not wasted.
Right. I like that they're actually doing shit. They're not doing the usual liberal shit of we are in a position of power, but we're going to play nice.
I need money.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, that's good news. Thanks for letting us know that, bud. The staff are then talking about the term question. Will the president run for a second term? Sam wants to know what the hell is going on. He really should know the answer by now. So I can understand some of his frustration this for once.
Yeah, no, Bartlett has been playing coy with them for too long. And they find out just before the press conference starts that it's answer 2.
Yeah.
But they had done the whole answer 1, I'm absolutely going to run. I'm energetic. There's a lot of stuff to go on. Or answer 2 is there's no way I could possibly run. I'm deeply unpopular. Here's Hoynes for you.
Yeah. Toby says that he's going to go with option 1.
Option 2.
Oh, he's going to.
Bartlett is not going to run.
Yeah.
At this point in the episode.
Yeah. Toby talks to the CNN wannabe who wants to make a big billionaire who Ted Turner.
I think his name is even Ted. Yeah.
Oh God. Okay. So
very
it's exactly
unoriginal. Yeah. It's
an exact Ted Turner ripoff, who's saying that he's going to make a 24-hour news show.
And he's
news
running
program.
it to compete. He's going to set it up to compete, and he wants, and his main thing is having Toby be his news director.
Toby wants Toby to be Toby O'Donnell. So
yeah,
yeah, which Toby refuses. Donna and Josh, which of course is very unrealistic for a real White House staff.
Right? No, they would all be gone at this point. Like Toby would already be running the news department at some major network. Already.
Oh, you mean like that's literally a god. I mean, well, yeah, well, Leo sent him in as like to help him get off the ship, but it's like that is the godsend that you want when the ship is sinking, is like, a stable career.
He should have been done that. CJ would already be like VP of corporate communications for Microsoft at this point.
Sure. For sure. Oh my God. I mean, shit. At this point, CJ can like run for office in California if she wants to. Like,
she could. They all could. Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
not Sam.
Yeah, not well. Yeah, Sam needs to be like hidden in the dark, away with all the other writers. Donna and Josh then talk about uncertainty. Some more of that theme of Shakespeare's Julius Caesar of the uncertainty of instability when you have your leader go away. We then meet at Leo's for answer B.
Yeah.
The staff watch the news aftermath. We don't see the presentation. We just see like the aftermath. Something I kind of like.
Yeah, I kind of like it. And then we get like a clip on the news as they're heading over to the press conference.
Yes. Yeah. Toby asks Leo about the lifeboat, and Leo says like, "Well, I need to throw you something," and Toby's like,
No, Leo says, "I knew you weren't going to take that lifeboat. I needed to show the president that none of you guys were going to jump ship."
Yeah,
because the cult leader needs to know that his cult stands behind him in order to do his cult leader shit.
So let's like waste other people's time on none of that.
Yeah, exactly. You just, I mean, I am not in the business of feeling bad for billionaires, but he did very much waste this man's time.
Well, it is. It's kind of funny. It's kind of that mentality of just like, well, I'm not thinking about someone else's time. You're just a tool for what I need, which is to show the president that these people are solid. Which is just like, I mean, it's kind of a Succession kid mindset. So,
yeah.
Donna talks about the tropical storm coming to the president, which I think they just wanted to have this nice little effect at the end with the president walking through the rain. The CJ reviews reporters with the president, tells them that you're going to call on this tool up here. See him right up there. You're going to call on this guy. He's going to
look for the oldest, sickliest old man in the entire world, and he's going to ask you a medical question. When they show the guy who he's supposed to call on, he looks like a fucking like walking corpse. It's so funny.
Granted, I've seen politicians that are older, right?
Oh yeah, no, that's true. He looks like Mitch McConnell.
He looks like a mix of McConnell
Dianne
and
Feinstein. Yeah, for sure.
Then we have another flashback where young Jeb is talking to his dad, and he's bringing up the gender.
He doesn't actually bring up the gender wage gap. They get
sidetracked.
They get sidetracked because his dad is like, he gave a quote criticizing this teacher at the school for banning books, and Jed goes into, he banned this book and this banned Fahrenheit 451, which is about banning books. And then his dad is like, "Is that supposed to be clever?" And then he slaps the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And then Jed goes, "It's not a non-denominational service." Something to do with his mom being Catholic. Probably some familial trauma there.
Yep. And then we cut back to the present day with the Oval Office door swings open, and Bartlett screams, "Damn it, Mrs. Landingham!" And to which her memory or her go, we have a little like we have a little soliloquy.
It's Mrs. Landingham's Force Ghost.
Yeah, Force Ghost. But yeah, we have a little soliloquy of Bartlett's head where he's talking to Mrs. Landingham.
God doesn't crash cars, and you know that. Stop feeling. I don't feel bad for you.
She scolds him for yelling and acting childish and being pouty like she always does. God doesn't make cars crash. She says that the party will come back Probably will come back.
Party will
around
come
more.
back. You'll get the party back. The party will come back.
Which is like, put down the alcohol, Mr. Bartlett. I think you've had enough. I think you should maybe. I think you're being a little too optimistic right now, sir. She says his dad was a prick. And he gives her. She asked for numbers, and he gives her numbers. Which had to do with. I remember one of the statistics is like how many people don't have health insurance in America, or how many people die in car crashes, stuff like that. Like kind of like,
yeah, it's like children born into a poverty, number of Americans in prison, leading cause of death for black men under 35 is homicide.
Yeah. He's talking to himself in the open. Yeah, then we cut to even him when he's just like we cut to Mrs. Lanham not being there.
Yeah, he must have looked so fucking crazy. If somebody had seen him in the scene, it would have been like, okay, no, we need to invoke 25 now and get Hoynes in here because the president is literally just sitting in his office talking to himself.
Which, I mean, I would hate to see like what Biden's up to, like in times where we're not looking at him. But I imagine with Biden, they're probably like keeping him in a room like in Parks and Rec when Ben Wyatt was working for a senator and the dude would just sit in his office.
Yes.
I think that's probably like the best thing to do with a man like Biden.
Yeah.
Is like seeing the things that his son got up to. Like it's just like, well, I wouldn't want to let this dude stray at all.
No,
so
no.
Just for the best. Anyway, she doesn't want. She says that she says that if you don't fight for these things, then I wouldn't want to know you.
Yeah.
And that's like,
gosh, Deb, I don't even want to know you.
Right. That basically suggests that, well, yeah, if you just want to like go along with something because it's easier to like go along with it and not fight for it, then, well, Jeb, I don't even want to know you.
She's so good. I love this actress.
Great. Yeah, great stuff. Wish I had more of her around. Yeah, he steps out. Then he steps out into the storm. Step by himself to get himself all wet.
I noticed that when Charlie notices that the president isn't wearing a jacket, he takes off his own jacket as well. That was just a little moment I noticed this time.
Oh wow!
I'm like probably like the 15th. Like Charlie starts off wearing a jacket. He goes to put a jacket on the president. The president waves him off, and then Charlie sets the jacket down and takes off his own jacket, and then follows the president.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. I must have been writing down notes when I saw that. That's very interesting choice. Huh.
Yeah, very interesting choice.
Yeah, but it's time to rock. The president jumps in there. Janitors and the janitor. We cut to a janitor. He's in the cathedral and he's
finding a cigarette. He's being like, "What the fuck?
Who the fuck does this guy think he is? The president?"
Yeah, exactly.
And then we have a nice little montage that Sorkin's having to wrap up the season of the president and the White House staff all marching into the press conference. The president goes up to make his speech. He calls on a different reporter. He does not call on the decrepit old man. They pan to him and he points behind her to some like blondie behind him.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll go with a leggy over there. Here, where's she? And she asks, of course, the non-medical question. She asked what's on everyone's mind. Will you be running for a second term? To which Josiah Bartlett
puts his hand in the pocket, turns his head to the side or whatever it was, and Leo's like, watch this.
And then the season ends.
President's got a tough fight ahead of him, but the spirit of neoliberalism and American exceptionalism will prevail.
And I'm just thinking, it's like, so you guys just don't want Hoynes in there because like are you just still mad at him, Bartlett, like for challenging you? Like it's because I just keep thinking like it just has to be an ego thing because like you are risking way more than just your career. You're wasting the rest of your future. I'm just throwing this on this whim just to not give up this seat of power. Like
yes,
when really you should. When your entire seat of power is based off public opinion and public opinion is overwhelmingly yes, you should not be running if we know this information. So,
but he knows better than the public.
Yeah. And he's better men than Hoynes, so we can't let Hoynes win. So
no, of course not.
Well, I did call my thing because we already talked about the Lawrence O'Donnell thing. I do have one little thing I do want to share because it's just because it's the end of this little season. It's the end of this season here. And it's a nice little fun song that is very much a description of what we've been listening to, what we like out here. I'm not sure. Tim. Have you ever heard of Phil Ox at all?
No, I don't think so.
You might like this song. This is a song from the 60s, and this dude was like a lefty from that era. And so, of course, his subject is about LBJ and Humphrey and all that stuff. So some of these references are going to be a little dated, but yeah, like I think you'll laugh at some of these things with me here too. But anyway, here's "Love Me, I'm a Liberal."
In every American community, you have varying shades of political opinion. One of the shadiest of these is the liberals. An outspoken group on many subjects. 10 degrees to the left of center in good times. 10 degrees to the right of center if it affects them personally.
Ain't the truth, though.
So here then is a lesson in safe logic. I cried when they shot Medgar Evers. Tears ran down my spine. And I cried when they shot Mr. Kennedy, as though I'd lost a father of mine. But Malcolm X got what was coming, got what he asked for this time. So love me, love me, love me, I'm a liberal. Get it? I go to civil rights rallies and I put down the old DAR. DAR, that's the dykes of the American Revolution. I love Harry and Sidney and Sammy. I hope every colored boy becomes a star. But don't talk about revolution. That's going a little bit too far. So love me, love me, love me, I'm a liberal. When Humphrey was chosen, my faith in the system restored. And I'm glad that the commies were thrown out from the AFL-CIO board. And I love Puerto Ricans and Negroes, as long as they don't move next door. So love me, love me, love me, I'm a liberal. Ah, the people of old Mississippi should all hang their heads in shame. Now I can't understand how their minds work. What's the matter, don't they watch Les Crane? But if you ask
I suppose the equivalent would be Bill
my
Maher.
Children, I hope the cops take down your name. So
You're busting reference earlier,
love
Tim.
me, love me, I'm a liberal. Yes, I read New Republic and Nation. I've learned to take every view. You know, I've memorized Lerner and Golden. I feel like I'm almost a Jew. But when it comes to times like Korea, there's no one more red, white, and blue. So love me, love me, love me, I'm a liberal. I vote for the Democratic Party. They want the UN to be strong. I attend all the Pete Seeger concerts. He sure gets me singing those songs. And I'll send all the money you ask for, but don't ask me to come on along. So love me, love me, love me, I'm a liberal. Sure, once I was young and impulsive, I wore every conceivable pin, even went to socialist meetings, learned all the old Union hymns. Ah, but I've grown older and wiser, and that's why I'm turning you in. So love me, love me, love me. I'm a liberal.
All right. That is Love Me, I'm a Liberal. I figured that was a nice little way to end up the second season, especially with like what we were on with today, with how some of these characters are. I mean, some of them are kind of uncharacteristic at the end of the season, but I understand is the nature of being a writer under pressure where you're just trying to like wrap up your season right away, wrap up your plot point. But it just the way that some of these characters keep acting, and even so, Ted, you had your little busing, you had your reference back to busing, which also made me think of that song for a second.
Yeah, for sure.
Which was just, it was funny. So yeah, I'm glad. I didn't know if you had heard that before. I already showed you the Lawrence Aldana clips. I decided instead of playing that, I'd probably play something that you may not be familiar with. So hey, if you guys don't know Phil Ox, look him up. He's got plenty of fun little songs from making fun of liberals. It's great time. And as much Tim as you and I will politically disagree, I know we will always find much joy in making fun of Republicans and liberals alike.
Correct, sir. Correct.
And of course, Tim, when I attack you, it is what it is. But when the liberals attack you, I'll always be there to like stand up for you.
Yeah, of course. Fuck these normie bastards.
Absolutely. Fuck you, you normie bastards. Yeah. Well, I know. I think that's a good way to end up the podcast. A nice little Roman Roy quote. But yeah, we will be back next week, probably with the start of the next 2 episodes of the 3rd season. Is that accurate?
Yeah. So the season 3 starts with a 2-parter, but there's actually the real first episode that aired was a special episode called Isaac and Ishmael.
Ooh.
That was aired a couple weeks after 9/11. It was like a special little presentation, like not a full like regular taping. It was just something special they did, like a lot of shows did at that time. And it is a fascinating political and cultural time capsule. So I'm thinking maybe we just talk about Isaac. Are we gonna do 3? Let's do 3.
Oh, we can do 3. I'm gonna say like I like the length of this one, and I'm fine doing 3. And honestly, if the first 2 these 2 3-parters, I'm able to kind of condense them a little bit, but I'm fine.
Yeah, for sure.
A 9/11 episode, and then like the start of like the rest of the storyline.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
cool.
Let's do it.
Oh boy! All right, folks. Well, that's really exciting, folks. But I guess until next time, keep working.
Keep on working.